I believe we have learned out of this sometimes agonizing experience that clear objectives, firm resolve, and a willingness to communicate with our adversaries can help to surmount the most threatening of circumstances.
That's Incredible will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following Channel 4 anniversary special.
In the fall of 1958, it all began.
Channel 4, WTAE, Pittsburgh. It's 7 o'clock, and here is 4-Star News with Carl Ide and Ed Conway.
Hello, and a good but very, very good Sunday afternoon to all of you.
It's time to hit the jackpot on Bowling for Dollars. The
$1 Million Movie present Charlie Chan Theater.
One score and 5 years ago, our founders brought forth a new television station in this city.
WTAE-TV, 25 Years to Share, is being brought to you by Mellon Bank. Wishing all the best to Channel 4 from your friends at Mellon Bank, a neighbor you can count on. By Foodland Supermarkets, proud to be a part of your community and proud to be a part of WTAE-TV's Silver Anniversary celebration. Now, for WTAE Television, your host for the evening, Don Cannon.
Good evening, and welcome to our Silver Anniversary special. It was in the fall, way back in 1958, that Channel 4 first sent out its television signal. Well, a generation has gone by since, and passing this way were many performers, news reporters, staff members, and happily, many of the original group are still with us. In the next hour, we're going to show you some clips from the past 2.5 decades, 25 years of news, sports, and entertainment programs. And we'll meet many of the people, past and present, but people that will always be a part of WTAE television. If we had Shakespeare on tape, he might have said this: if nostalgia be what your dreams are made of, then dream on for the next hour as we bring you WTAE television, 25 years to share. Channel 4's first year was an explosion of entertainment. To start off tonight's program, we'd like to jog your memories just a bit with some favorites, and I'm sure you'll agree that these two gentlemen will make you feel so young.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring has sprung.
And every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual.
The moment that you speak, I want to go play hide and seek.
I want to go and bounce the moon just like a toy balloon.
And then there was Jay Michaels, who hosted the local bandstand show in the Channel 4 studios. But if you were too young to dance on bandstand, you may have been old enough to cross over the famous bridge with Ricky and Copper.
As to how many children crossed over the bridge, 10,743 children. We were very versatile. We brought in a lot of different facets of our creative abilities. I sang quite a bit at the Pittsburgh Playhouse and brought over my singing talents to the air.
I needn't tell you how my days begin. When I awaken with a tingle. One possibility in view. That possibility of maybe seeing.
And of course, I can't forget my famous weather show. I still have people coming up that recall that, where I did the weather in a negligee and would sing what the weather forecast was going to be. What am I doing now? I'm working on a great project called The Chemical People. I returned to graduate school and got the tools to be able to use psychological techniques to penetrate communities and develop task forces. And I hooked up with WQED Public Broadcasting and have been so very happy.
Bowling played an important part in Channel 4's early years. We were the only station to have a set of certified bowling lanes installed in our studios. Nick Perry, known as Mr. Bowling, hosted Championship Bowling and Pin Busters. And something you may not remember, Jean Connolly was the first female bowling host. Jean hosted women's bowling as part of her daily program, The Jean Connolly Show. During her 15 years as host, she interviewed a wide field of entertainers, authors, political figures, and sports heroes.
In those days, we had the opportunity to experiment with a lot of different things. For instance, I had the chance to do daytime news programs, underwater swimming, Academy Award preview shows, and even working with our news team when there were newspaper strikes. What impresses me most after all these years in television, I think the changes in technology. We had to wear black lipstick, always wear gray colors on the set. Everything was done in monochrome. There were no cue cards, no teleprompters. The newsmen would read from a script, and you would maybe have a slide projected. Today, with our electronic equipment, you have every visual possibility under the sun. Well, after 20 years on the air, it seemed time to move over and make room for younger people. I had the chance to move into management, which was something that I had wanted to do, and I'm very happy here at Channel 4 as Director of Public Service.
Boys and girls, today I'd like to tell you a very interesting story. It's about a baseball player and a farmer.
The late Janie Vance Bram was our first Romper Room host. She was followed by Jan Bana, who took over Romper Room for the next several years. And if you didn't get on Romper Room, there was always 6 o'clock Adventure Time with Paul Shannon. Paul Shannon signed on with Channel 4 as an announcer and newsman in 1958. Playing host on a children's program was a new role for this experienced actor and MC, but his assignment to host Adventure Time turned into a 17-year love affair between him and his fanatic rooters.
Now, be sure you remember to say hi to all your friends, your teachers, mother, father, boyfriend. Are you ready? Okay, some of you have lists, so read fast. Okay, here we go then. All together now.
Adventure Time is credited in large part for the professional comeback of the Three Stooges, who made visits to Paul's set, and he even played a cameo role in one of their movies. Paul's faithful followers still remember the Magic Sword, Nosmo King, Castle Shannon, and the Randy Rocket.
I was a part of the very first broadcast in September of 1958. I did something that I'll always remember, and all the happy, pleasant years which followed. So congratulations to all, and may the years ahead be as happy and as successful as the first 25.
25 years ago, what was the ABC network running? How many of these do you remember?
In the last few minutes, you've seen many of our original programs and personalities, but there are others involved in the birth of our station. So very important were the people behind the scenes, the engineers, salespeople, artists, editors, stagehands, technicians, traffic, accounting, and administrative personnel, all of whom made important contributions to our station's history. And now, this message from Mr. Franklin C. Snyder, vice president of the Hearst Corporation, the man who 25 years ago was WTAE-TV's first general manager.
There have been many reasons over the past 25 years for me to be proud of my association with Channel 4, but none surpasses my pride in the excellent staff we began with, and which set a standard we have lived with throughout this quarter century. In an industry that is so volatile and changing as television, it is unique to have 30 of the original group of employees still with us to celebrate this silver anniversary. This number has even greater impact when we realize that it is more than 50% of the original group who are here in that first 6 months of operation. It is this loyalty and dedication that made Channel 4 successful, and it is this stability that has made WTAE a continuing part of the community. I applaud you all. Now, would you like to start all over again?
I'm pleased to congratulate television station WTAE on its first anniversary.
In our industry, we always hear about the golden age of television. Well, I'm not sure if what we've just seen qualifies as such, but what there was lacking in technology was easily made up in spontaneity and fun for the performers. A little later in the show, we'll go back to more of the early entertainment days. But coming up next is a look at 25 years of news, as covered by 25 years of news reporting. And we'll see that, as they've always said, right after these messages. As we promised, a look at over 2 decades of news. Quite an assignment, Paul.
Don, there is no way to compress a quarter century into these few minutes, but we can try to provide sort of an overview.
Digging through the files, screening the old tapes and films, we found that it's not only the events of those years that trigger memories, but the people who shaped those events, and the reporters and camera crews who covered them. News and Views with John B. Hughes. John was our first anchor.
My position is that
he and news director Herb Morrison were working with black and white film in those days. This interview was with the vice president. Ike was the president, Dwight David Eisenhower. Pittsburgh liked Ike. Many who cheered were former GIs who had served under him in Europe.
Very optimistic, I think.
Davy Lawrence was mayor, soon to move to Harrisburg as governor. But in those days, still forging the city's first renaissance. The city council didn't give him much lip. Police were busy with a mini-war on Chicken Hill in the West End. Jim Slusser was one of the good guys. Pittsburgh was celebrating its bicentennial, 18 years ahead of the rest of the country. As time ran out in the 50s, Carl Ide and Dave Murray were doing our early and late news. George Thomas was bossing the newsroom. We were covering a bitter steel strike with Union President Dave MacDonald vowing that the Union would never quit. Soviet Premier Khrushchev came to town, and security was never tighter. Protesters were out in full force at the Carlton House because the KGB said it had the best security in town. We were to find out some years later, it wasn't so secure after all. Joe Barr moved into the mayor's office. We met the young senator from Massachusetts who came to ask for our votes. And Richard Nixon on the same mission. It was close, but when the votes were counted, we welcomed JFK back as president, a presidency that would end in tragedy in Dallas in a similar motorcade. We welcomed a new bishop who would become a cardinal.
We learned to do the twist, and we shivered as Gus Brickner greeted 1961 with his annual New Year's Day dip in the Mon. We covered stories of courage and survival and sacrifice and dedication. The mine disasters that struck in that rich seam from Robina to Farmington, where, in a tradition as old as Appalachian coal, family and friends maintain their vigil until loved ones are rescued or bodies are brought out. The clock ticked. LBJ, the man who took over the Oval Office, came back to see us. The rivers rose with heavy rain and an ice gorge on the Allegheny. We weathered it. They built those sisters good. We kept breaking ground. That's Doc McClellan and John McGrady and friends with the ceremonial shovels. We met a bright young governor who turned down chance after chance at further elective office to be with his family. His son's not doing bad. The lieutenant governor took over. Ray did okay. And we met the guy campaigning to become the state's first two-term governor. Look at the haircut. We saw the changing of the guard at the United Steelworkers Union as I.W. Abel took up the helm. We knew terror at Shade Gap as a rifleman holding hostages to fight an army of state police.
We took hard looks at pressing issues in hundreds of documentaries, many of them produced by Fred Remington. We were concerned with soaring crime rate. There's former Assistant Police Superintendent Lawrence Maloney leading a search for a suspect in Homewood Cemetery. We searched in vain for ways to help relieve the growing congestion on our highways. Look at those old gas guzzlers. Examined the readiness of our civil defense at the height of the Cold War. Home fallout shelters got mixed reviews. We agonized over our image as a strike-happy town and the fight over prayer in the public schools.
A breath of air.
We witnessed the long uphill battle against air pollution. This one was called The Only Air We've Got.
WTAE-TV 4.
We were concerned over the safety of our children in Better Safe Than Sorry. We listened as William Steinberg built the Pittsburgh Symphony into one of the world's great orchestras. We experienced the pain and progress of urban renewal. Watched rather helplessly the deterioration of our mass transit system. Unveiled a revolutionary new people mover, Skybus, at the Allegheny County Fair. It turned out we were really window shopping.
The bridge to nowhere, and it was just that to one motorist who tried to drive across. Luckily, he survived. In the middle 60s, you were watching Dick Ford, Alan Bold, Eleanor Shano, and Bob Harper. We went to color, and it gave us a chance to show off. But the news was turning sour, especially dispatches from Vietnam. We saw Pittsburgh's black community rise in anger, shed a nostalgic tear as the trains mostly stopped running. Met the mayor, who liked to be called Pete, then Repeat. And Ben Anulik, Pittsburgh's first heart transplant patient, helping to pave the way for a major transplant center and new hope for thousands. We got to know school superintendent Dr. Sidney Marland, who dreamed of the great high school. Catherine Kuhlman, who touched so many lives. And Hubert Horatio Humphrey. Pittsburgh liked him, and he liked us. However, Richard Nixon got the nod.
As Don and I came aboard and another decade wound down, Frank Snyder decided we needed more room here at Channel 4, and we broke ground for a new edition. We ushered in the decade of the 70s, reporting on the brutal murders of Jock Jablonski, his wife and daughter at their Washington County home. Took to high ground as Hurricane Agnes spawned the torrential rains of a major flood. At a Duke, no more, as the city lost another major brewery.
Good morning, everyone.
And
I'm
watched Al McDowell do what he does so well, put things in perspective, as he welcomed the innovation called the miniskirt,
gasoline
struggled through the Arab oil embargo, long lines and no gas, obeyed the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit as we drove along the just-opened I-79, and greeted the Earth Shoe.
Some doubt about whether Mr.
We were shocked at the indictment and apparent suicide of District Attorney Robert Dugan. We watched the start of a new fountain at the Point and witnessed the phenomenon of the streaker. We met a gentleman from Georgia who came to town on his way to the White House and celebrated the nation's 200th birthday. Ed Mullen took us on a bicentennial wagon train ride. There was the raging fire in McKeesport that destroyed much of the business district. We shivered through the cruel winter of '77. There was the day consumer reporter Donna Diener found herself covering the disastrous Johnstown flood. The war for control of massage parlors erupted in a deadly bomb blast.
We got to know a county commissioner who taught us the meaning of vision. The judge who didn't like the idea of mandatory retirement, and a new mayor who launched the city's second renaissance. We covered the tragic cooling tower collapse at Willow Island, saw the Brady Street Bridge come tumbling down, The terrifying spectacle of a helicopter crash at a crowded holiday gathering in Derry, Westmoreland County. A long and bitter coal miners' strike. We watched as truckers pulled their rigs off the road and saw the first Volkswagen Rabbit roll off the assembly line in New Stanton. We worried through tense days in the wake of the reactor accident at 3 Mile Island, the worst in U.S. history, and continued to fight a losing battle with our old nemesis, the Pittsburgh pothole.
No one knows what the next quarter century will bring, but the past is prologue, and we'll be here to cover the future, just as we covered the past. We've got a bright future ahead. After all, we're only 25.
Under and dissolve. Cue 'em and in.
Catch.
Good evening, Mr. Cannon. As you know, WTAE television is 25 years old. During that time, hundreds of ads appeared on Channel 4 promoting entertainment, news, and sports. It is unclear who was responsible for this quarter-century campaign on Pittsburgh, but the television underground suspects it could be a conspiracy by the entire WTAE-TV staff. Please examine carefully the enclosed classified materials. They may provide clues to the nature of effective promotion. Information on early ads is sketchy. They appear crude and simplistic. Don't be fooled, Mr. Cannon. The ads were effective and code-named Forza Popping.
With Paul Long, Al McDowell, Gene Connolly, and the 12 Noon Report. Every weekday at noon, these Channel 4 news people add another dimension to WTAE-TV's in-depth news service with a 30-minute midday report. Make a luncheon date to join them Monday through Friday at 12 noon. You'll be in good company here on Channel 4.
Standing on the corner. Suddenly I was helped across the street by Paul Long and Don Cannon, and they gave me their autographed pictures, too. Now that's a friendly news team.
And a great one, too. Watch the Channel 4 News in Pittsburgh, a friendly town.
Come to think of it, I didn't want to cross the street.
Channel 4 agents have become masters of disguise, Mr. Cannon. Prior aliases include the cowboy, the supernatural scientist, and the all-around good sport.
Out of the sun they ride. They are newsmen, trying to be first. But everywhere these newsmen go, they are trailing a lone rider.
He beat us again!
Who is that guy?
Well, we made it, boys. He'll never track us up here.
Who is that guy? Don Cannon and Channel 4 News. The best is getting better.
There's something almost frightening about the accuracy of Joe DiNardo's forecasts. It does make you wonder sometimes just how he does it. But after all, Joe's secret is nothing more than being Pittsburgh's most experienced meteorologist.
Weather, thunderstorm.
And that's what makes Joe DiNardo's forecasts really super. Some even say...
Call me, Bart.
Supernatural.
Hey, John!
Another clever disguise used in Channel 4 promotion is music. Beware of trick phrases such as action news is everywhere, come on along, and hello, Pittsburgh.
Look for us, we'll be there. Action news is everywhere. From the warm and friendly city, where 3 rivers flow and everywhere, we're always there. Action news is everywhere, everywhere. Come on along with Channel 4 when you want to be in great company. Washington, come on to the place where you belong. Come on along with WTAE. Pittsburgh, this is the place to be. Come on along with Channel. Come on along with Channel 4. There's a feeling in the air that you can't get anywhere except in Pittsburgh. I taste 1,000 yesterdays, and I love the magic ways of Pittsburgh. Looking from the inclined view, the spirit shows in you each time you touch the sky. From where the rivers flow to where the sunsets go, we're all good neighbors passing by. Makes no difference where I go, you're the best hometown I know. Hello, Pittsburgh. Hello, Pittsburgh. Channel 4 loves you. Makes no difference where I go, you're the best hometown I know. Hello, Pittsburgh. Hello, Pittsburgh. Channel 4 loves you.
As you know, prior missions have exposed you to many dangers. This assignment is no different. There is always the possibility of being caught and tortured, or worse, having to take part in yet another coffee gag.
Once in a while,
Morning, Paul.
Hi, Don. You find a couple of guys who just naturally work well together, who complement each other in every way. Like Paul Long and Don Cannon. A natural sort of communication you just don't find every day. So it's no accident that more people are switching to Action News.
Good evening,
Paul Long and Don Cannon.
Good evening, Paul.
Pittsburgh's choice. Naturally.
Have you ever had
Morning, Paul.
one of those days
Hi, Don.
when nothing goes right? Sometimes the most natural of partners get a little off in their timing. Even Paul Long and Don Cannon can find their finely tuned teamwork slightly off target. But when you're Pittsburgh's #1 news team, you can always pull your act together when it really counts.
Good evening. I'm Paul Long.
And I'm Don Cannon.
Pittsburgh's first choice for news.
Paul, it's a bill
Naturally.
When you get that 6 o'clock hunger to know what's happening,
Nice to see you.
it's nice to know there's a place where you can catch up on everything.
Hi.
Find out what was special today and how things will turn out tomorrow. That's how it is with Action News at 6. Every night at 6, our Channel 4 news team serves up plenty of food for thought and still leaves you with a good feeling. Join us for Action News at 6. It really hits the spot.
Your mission, Don, should you decide to accept it, is to confirm unofficial reports that the Channel 4 team is the key to the past 25 years of effective promotion. And as always, Don, should you or any member of the Channel 4 team be caught, station management will disavow any knowledge of your actions. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Are you Silver?
You want to go to the moon? Do you want to go to the moon?
Celebrate WTAE-TV's anniversary season with us by enjoying the classic television shows of the past, December 24th and 25th here on Channel 4.
Since going on the air back in 1958, Channel 4 has shown over 20,000 movies. Our Sunday afternoon movie featured nationally acclaimed drama critic Harold V. Cohen.
Adam's Rib, which stars Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. There never was a team like this team, and there isn't likely to be ever again either. Because such magic comes along, believe me, once in a lifetime.
And there'll never be another guy quite like Harold V. Cohen. Hi, this is Reg Cordick in Hollywood. And I must say that it was with no small amount of trepidation that I took over the reins of the Channel 4 Sunday afternoon movie after my dear friend and big brother, Harold V. Cohen, passed away. I was always a movie fan, and since I was out here at the time actively involved in the motion picture and television business as an actor, the powers that be at Channel 4 suggested that I give it a try. And I did try for 11 years and 485 shows. As a matter of fact, this is my souvenir of those days on the Channel 4 Sunday afternoon movie, The Slate, still set up for the last show sometime in July of 1981. But I look back at WTAE and the 485 Channel 4 Sunday afternoon movies as a very happy experience. And like we say in television, I hope you do too. I'm pleased to be a part of this anniversary celebration for Channel 4. So one more time, this is Reg Cordick from Hollywood saying, happy birthday, Channel 4.
One of the station's oldest shows is the Garden Program, hosted over the years by Frank Curto, Charlie Kester, and currently Alan Michael. And in 1962, Junior High Quiz with Ricky Wirtz came on the scene, offering area students a chance to compete in a fun-filled educational program. Speaking of fun and games, what do you get when you put together a musician, a second banana, and a top banana? The Hank Stoll Show.
You know, since I've got my contacts on, I can see the wrinkles in your face. Really? You know, I didn't realize that until I got a contact.
They must be red contacts because your eyes are shut.
You have failed to answer our recent courteous letters. These reminders should have been sufficient to collect above items. They were written...
Hank, at this station, besides the morning show, you did really a myriad.
Very good.
Activities.
Very good. Myriad. I was a booth announcer. I was a, quote, puppeteer. I did news, sports, weather, and I did dramatic shows at the Playhouse. And occasionally
You remember, we did a Saturday night show, too, called
Saturday Night instead of the movies, if you recall.
What are you doing today?
I am basically engaged in voiceover commercial announcements. I do voices. I do the voice behind the product, Napa Sonoma Wine Company, Mendocino, California. I do some on-camera commercials. I just finished a commercial today for Mellon Bank. I'm the voice of the bank machine.
Besides the morning show that we all did, what else have you done at the station, Joe? You've been there most of the years.
After the morning show, I became like a musical director here, and so I was doing all of the shows, and I did a lot of documentaries. We did Summer Sounds, and
some won awards too, didn't they?
Yes, Season Bright won some awards.
Too modest to say that, but some did award.
We did a show about Shady Side, our native quarter. What about you, Dave?
Well, after we did the morning show, then the only other time I've been on the air really was the Saturday night instead of the movie show with you for a short while. And
one of the great epic roles that you had in the Saturday night show and the morning show was that of Charlie Chan.
Charlie Fang, we used to, Charlie Fang. Yeah. And it was true that led later to growing this little bit and then hosting Charlie Chan movies, which I did some 12 years ago on this station and did it for about a year. Because of this fine cast, this movie is rated X for extinct.
Good morning, Pittsburgh. It's AM Pittsburgh time. It's a good...
Through the 70s, Al McDowell, Lynn Hines, and Kathy Milton started your day off on the right note with AM Pittsburgh. Now, into the 1980s, I'm the new kid on the block, with the Jack Bogut Show at 10 on Channel 4 every weekday morning, with guests and features, and we don't always know what's going to go on.
Meanwhile, during the 60s and today, the ABC network has given us some of our favorite shows. Sit back, my friends, and let's remember those days.
extradited to Indiana. I'm taking you back to Stafford myself.
You going to strap me on the fender of your car?
Life we choose, we'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way.
Elliot Carson.
You're Allison McKenzie.
But you're my father.
We'll be right over.
What's wrong, Batman?
Someone has stolen a show from this fall's new season of ABC programs.
Holy grand larceny.
And the busy years went rushing by us. We lost our starry notions on the way. If by chance I'd see you in the tavern, we'd smile at one another and we'd say, good grief! Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day.
Who is going to suspect kids?
Eddie, you just can't go around inviting stray ladies to stay in our apartment.
Live the life we choose, we'd fight and never lose. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days.
NFL football goes nighttime.
Pittsburgh has long had the reputation of being a great sports town. The image has grown brighter over the quarter century that we've been on the air. Right now, here's Bill Hillgrove to recall Pittsburgh's golden age of sports from our tape and film library.
WTAE-TV went on the air in late 1958, and it wasn't long before the Pirates provided the sports department with a major sports story, the legendary 1960 World Series against the murderous Yankees, in which the Pirates were out-hit and outscored, but somehow stayed close enough to give Bill Mazeroski a chance to hit one of the most famous home runs in history. But it wasn't until 1971 that the Pirates were able to do it again, and this time they were led by a different hero.
Here's Bobby Clemente. It's a screwball a mile into left center field. It is going. It is gone. Bobby Clemente continues to totally annihilate Baltimore pitching.
In Clemente's final year, 1972, the Pirates made another run at the World Series, only to be stopped by the Big Red Machine. The Pirates played the Reds for the division title in 70, 72, 75, and 79. And they only won it once, and that was in 79, when the series began in a snowy, cold Baltimore, with Bill Hillgrove, John Steigerwald, and Bob Prince in their bathing suits.
It's a doggone
The Pirates also started out cold. They fell behind 3-1. But the Pirate bats got hot, and the Buccos made a great comeback to take the series and win their third World Series in the last 25 years.
It will be the biggest event in the history of the whole planet Earth, all because of me.
Boxing has always been big in Pittsburgh. But then Cassius Clay fought here in 1963, knocked out a guy named Charlie Powell in the third round at the Civic Arena. And Larry Holmes fought Ronaldo Snipes at the arena in 1981. And the brawl in the ring after the fight was almost as good as the fight itself. Here's a guy who was never short on confidence. His muscular, unorthodox swing wasn't pretty, but somehow the ball stayed in the fairway, and Arnold Palmer put golf on the map. Nicklaus and Hogan have won more tournaments, but nobody had a bigger following than Arnie with his Army. Basketball never really took off on the pro level in Pittsburgh, but it's always been popular on the college level. That's not hard to explain with names like Cy Hugo Green, Willie Somerset, Billy Knight, and Norm Nixon. Another sport which had an interesting history in Pittsburgh is hockey. With the construction of the Civic Arena in 1961, Pittsburgh hockey teams like the Hornets had a major league facility in which to play. the Pens played their first game in October of '67, and they sure picked some home opener, the world champion Montreal Canadiens. But the Pens have played worse against Montreal. They lost that first game 2-1 as Rogie Vachon was unbeatable in goal for the Canadiens. Channel 4 has covered a lot of sports over the past 2.5 decades, but because of these trophies and the success of both the Steelers and the Panthers, none is more important to the viewers than the sport of football. The Steelers didn't have much of a winning tradition before the 1970s, but Pitt had plenty of it. In 1963, the Panthers went 9-1, but were uninvited to a bowl game. And that seemed to put a damper on the rest of the 60s. The bottom dropped out on Pitt football in the mid-60s, and the final indignity was 1972. Pitt went 1-10 and fired its coach Carl DePasqua. They were thinking at that time about de-emphasizing football. Things changed quickly, however, with the arrival of a young coach from Tennessee who turned around a dead program at Iowa State and had even bigger plans for the program at Pitt.
Our football team, without a doubt, played with pride and enthusiasm, and I intend for us to continue with pride and enthusiasm.
Pride and enthusiasm had a lot to do with Pitt going 6-5-1 in 1973, but Major's choice of recruits had a little something to do with it, especially this one, an undersized freshman running back who had some pretty high hopes himself.
Personally, I feel Pitt has the potential to be a national power. And before I leave here, I'm going to do my best, what I could do to make this thing happen.
Tony D was pretty confident for a guy who weighed 155 pounds. But then, if you could run like this, you'd be talking national championship, too. And that's just what happened. Johnny Majors engineered the greatest single turnaround in college football history. In 4 years, Pitt went from 1-10 to 12-0 and the national championship. The turnaround Pitt made and maintained in the 70s was amazing. But what is more amazing is the fact that it had to take a back seat to a turnaround made by another local football team. To give you an idea how long the Steelers have been around, when they started, this fellow had black hair and was known to parlay a bob or two on horses like Gallant Fox and War Admiral. To give you an idea how long it was before the Steelers won, listen to the kind of questions reporters like Ed Conway used to ask this man.
Art, in recent years, attendance at Steeler games has fallen off at an alarming rate. As a matter of fact, in the 14-club circuit last year, the Steelers were as low as 13th in attendance. What do you feel is the basic reason for this?
Well, then I wished I could answer that question.
Things began to look up when Chuck Noll was hired in January of 1969 and began to use the draft to build a winning football team. Noll's success with first-round picks, phenomenal. And the Steelers made the first pick in the NFL draft in 1970. And Noll made the smartest pick of all, a raw quarterback from Louisiana Tech who had no qualms about being picked by a 1-13 team.
It's a great honor. I'm real thrilled and real happy. Something you don't normally think about, you know, really. Being drafted in the first round was, to me, would have been a great honor, and gosh, being the first player drafted is just something that's hard to believe in.
But they needed another element to make them big winners. Noll found out that the element was Franco Harris, a relatively unknown back who had spent most of his varsity years at Penn State blocking for Lydell Mitchell.
I'm looking forward, you know, I'm going in there really to, you know, establish myself and to get a job.
Franco made a big impact as a rookie, gaining over 1,000 yards in only 9 games as the Steelers went 11-3 and made it to the playoffs for the first time in 40 years. The best was yet to come, because not only was Franco a great runner, he also had a great sense for the dramatic. The Steelers were losing to the Raiders 7-6. It was 4th down, and there were only 22 seconds left. Need I say more?
And Bradshaw back and looking again. Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield. And there's a collision. It's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh.
This event catapulted the Steelers toward their Super Bowl years and Pittsburgh toward its decade of champions. You know, Channel 4 has been on the scene for 25 years, and already we have seen 1 national college football champion, 3 World Series winners, 4 Super Bowl champions, and 1 immaculate reception. It truly has been a golden age of Pittsburgh sports. Hopefully, our good sports fortunes continue. And as they do, Channel 4 looks forward to covering them for you.
One of the reasons for our immediate and continuing success is stability with personnel. More than 50% of the original staff is still on the scene. And even more incredible is that in the 25 years of operation, there have been only 3 general managers, and all 3 are still right here with the company. Franklin C. Snyder, now Vice President of the Hearst Corporation. John G. Conomites, now Vice President of the Hearst Corporation and General Manager of Broadcasting. And Fred Young, currently the Vice President and General Manager of WTAE Television.
We're very much a part of this community. We do a lot of things. Some of it we do publicly and with a great deal of fanfare, and a lot of it we do very quietly and without any acknowledgement whatsoever.
One of the principal things we tried to accomplish in the very beginning was to establish a feeling among the people in this community and of the entire area, the tri-state area, that Channel 4 was their station.
I think there's great pride by the people that work for WTAE Television. There's a great percentage of the staff that has been here, 20 to 25 years, which is also unusual in this business. People tend to move around.
There are a lot of things that will happen in the future of television, not all of which I can predict today, but I think we just have to continue to work hard at what we're doing, to do even more for the community, to make our news product better, to make sure that our entertainment grows with us and our network grows with us. And I hope that 25 years from now, WTAE Television will be not only as good as, but considerably better than the station that we all watch today.
Like every family, we have pictures of ourselves growing up. And just like the album you have at home, we never get tired of looking.
I can't remember when you weren't there, when I didn't care for anyone but you. I swear we've been through everything there is. Can't imagine anything we've missed. Can't imagine anything the two of us can't do. Through the years, you've never let me down. You've turned my life around. The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years, I've never been afraid. I've loved the life we've made, and I'm so glad I stayed right here with you through the years.
Oh boy, there have been so many, many more memories through the years. The staff people who worked on this project have become fascinated with doing it. And they wondered many times whether or not it should have been one of those mini-series. It's been fun for all of us to do. It's been a thrill to be a part of this celebration. And you too have been so important to this silver anniversary. Your interest, your care, and your concern, you too are a part of our past, present, and the future of Channel 4. We hope we can do it again, say in about 5 years for our 30th. And we hope you'll join us in the year 2008 for our 50th. In the meantime, we will continue to share with you. I'm Don Cannon, and from all of us at Channel 4, good night and happy holidays.
Boys are poppin', boys are poppin', dial fun, dial 4, dial action, look forward to more on board Channel 4, WTAE Pittsburgh. You'll see it all when you catch 4. The world is yours when you catch 4. When you reach out and you catch 4, you've caught it all.
Look for us, we'll be there. Action news is everywhere.
From the war It's made us what we are today. Together we've always cared for all the tears and laughter and everything in life we're after. We're celebrating our 25th year, working together, WTAE, Channel 4 and you. Action news is everywhere. Kent 4 came on strong. When you hear hello Pittsburgh, you know where you belong. We're celebrating our 25th year, working together. Happy anniversary from Channel 4.
Television in the Presidency is sponsored in part by Burger King. Flame-broiled burgers that are never fried. Aren't you hungry for a Burger King now? And by Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages.